High in the Appalachian Mountains, the Tennessee River starts on its southward course. As it begins to meet the Ohio River, its bend resembles the muscle of a man's arm. And here its turbulent waters rush wildly over a group of sandy shoals. Therefore, the early settlers named it Muscle Shoals. Situated in the northwestern part of Alabama, accessible to New York, Chicago, St. Louis, New Orleans, and Jacksonville, this spot in the heart of the Tennessee Valley is rich in natural resources and has enormous water power. With the signing of the National Defense Act by President Wilson in 1916, it was selected by the government as the site for its $12 million number one plant to extract nitrates from the air, thereby assuring a sufficient supply of this valuable element, the basis of high explosives. In addition to this, our farmers needed cheap fertilizer, of which nitrogen is the principal element. Thus, Muscle Shoals serves the nation in a dual capacity. Then plant number 2 was built to produce these nitrates by another process on a reservation of 2,200 acres at a cost of $66 million. Units a mile long, capable of extracting from the air at that time more nitrates than all of the plants of the world combined, by a process requiring a tremendous volume of electric power for its furnaces. Power which was soon to be generated through a mammoth dam then under consideration. In the meantime, so the plant could be put into immediate operation, for the United States had by this time entered the World War, there was built an auxiliary steam power plant, one of the most magnificent and efficient ever erected up to that time, costing $10 million, equipped with the then largest steam turbine generator in the world. In this vicinity, the greatest fuel region of the South spreads widely across many states, its coal mines producing millions of tons of coal a year. Other great resources necessary to the manufacture of munitions and fertilizer abound in this region. Authorities estimate that the iron ore reserves in this district are the largest uncovered anywhere in the world. The ore is taken from the ground by the strip mining process because it lies so close to the surface. Magnificent beds of pure white limestone abound, with busy quarries at each location cutting out enormous blocks from the mountainside. Huge, rich deposits of the finest rock asphalt are dug out in an unending stream of thousands of tons, while dozens of other materials like potash, used in a number of chemical compositions and in fertilizer mixtures with phosphate, another of the big 3 of commercial fertilizers. Manganese, one of the most important elements in addition to ore for the manufacture of iron and steel products. Copper, used for manufacturing electrical equipment. Chromite, the nickel ore for which the demand is ever increasing. Zinc, another metal ore used extensively, as well as lead. And bauxite, the aluminum ore, all found in such abundant quantities, it seems nature outdid herself in attempting to lavish all of her bounties in this area. Of all nature's wonderful gifts, the greatest perhaps is the terrific perpetual power of the rushing Tennessee River, seeking its outlet to the sea. Work on the erection of dam number 2 was started by the order of President Wilson in February 1918 to convert the great and unfailing power of the Tennessee River at Muscle Shoals into electricity to serve the defense plans of the nation. Soon a wide channel had been blasted across the river's bed. Then the armistice was signed, bringing the war to an unexpectedly abrupt conclusion. These government plants, no longer needed as a wartime measure, were shut down and work on the dam was stopped. Henry Ford offered to operate the project privately. With Edison, he visited and inspected Muscle Shoals, after which he declared, I will build a city 75 miles long and employ 1 million men. Before a Senate committee, Ford said he'd abolish poverty, make wages higher, and provide good homes for everyone, saving this heritage of nature and giant work of man. Oscar W. Underwood, Alabama's senior senator, staunchly supported Ford's offer. Meanwhile, Senator Norris's bill urging government operation was passed by Congress. So again, the Herculean task was started. Once more, the human beavers descended upon the unfinished dam and began to blast, dig, and burrow into the bared riverbed. With machine gun precision, the drills, jackhammers, and power shovels rattled day and night. Down below the riverbed, hundreds of thousands of cubic yards of earth were removed to a depth of over 30 feet. Later, to allow the rushing waters to reach the power generators. High the mighty cranes swung. Mammoth buckets poured thousands upon thousands of tons of concrete, layer upon layer, into the waiting maw of wooden forms. Higher and higher rose the solid blocks of marble-like mixtures containing limestone lifted from the bed of the very river they were soon to control. Up, up, up went the white walls of masonry. Marvels of engineering construction were performed, which were to become veritable flights of steps and doorways in a running river. Day and night, man carried on his relentless drive to tame the river and train it, to relieve him of his heavy burdens, until finally he saw the aim of his glorious effort about to be realized. The installation of giant turbines and generators in the enormous powerhouses completed the harness which was to hold the unending power of the river and convert it into electrical energy. What magic produces electricity from water? This shows only one power unit, consisting of a massive pipe or penstock, leading to the blades of a turbine, which is connected by a shaft to a generator above. The dam raises the level of the water. The high water enters the penstock, rushes against the blades of the turbine, and by means of the shaft, turns the generator above, making electric current, which is transmitted from the switch house over miles of power lines to surrounding consumers. Man's supreme achievement of that time, Wilson Dam, so named in honor of the president who fostered its birth. Here was power control, power to operate great industries, power to bring employment to tens of thousands of workers, power to build great cities of happy homes. Here was power in a most advantageous spot, right in the heart of the richest region of natural resources in the country, right in the heart of a transportation center where the four corners of the nation could be served by rail and highway, and from where the ports of the world could be reached by water. Here, low-cost power offered economic opportunity for many of our most profitable industries. Limestone found in unlimited quantities and used for fluxing iron ore, for making cement, and for fashioning beautiful columns to adorn many of the country's most attractive edifices. Blast furnaces smelting thousands of tons of ore into pig iron for the manufacture of iron and steel. Huge mills continually moving carloads of unsurpassed rock asphalt through the crushers to be prepared for street paving. Architectural ironworks turning out many varied products used to illuminate and beautify the streets of cities and towns throughout the nation. White pine and hardwood plants turning millions of feet of plentiful timber into useful products for our widespread farmlands. Ceramic plants shaping excellent pottery clay found in this territory into thousands of artistic pieces eagerly sought by buyers everywhere. Foundries casting the high-quality, locally produced pig iron into stoves. Cotton mills assured first place in the supply of raw materials for the Muscle Shoals district is right in the heart of the South's renowned cotton-producing belt. Such expansion required workers, and these workers in turn required home sites. Howell and Graves recognized this need and at their property in Muscle Shoals visioned a city of thousands of new homes and business buildings. They appropriated nearly $1 million and began an intensive development. Dozens of miles of concrete curbing and gutter were first laid, and these were followed by equal lengths of standard cement sidewalks. Electric light standards made in Muscle Shoals of Muscle Shoals iron were erected with highway markers. Fire plugs, part of the high-pressure water supply system. Water and sewer mains required the cutting of deep trenches. A drainage system was installed, which at that time was unsurpassed in efficiency in any municipality and attracted the attention of city officials throughout the country. Then came the evolution of graded streets and the paving of Wilson Dam Highway. First, tractors and graders handled by trained crews cut the thousands of yards of earth accurately to the engineer's grade lines. Large rollers shaped the surface to compact, table-like smoothness. On went the asphalt, Muscle Shoals asphalt, packed hard as a rock. On this, another layer of Muscle Shoals asphalt, but of finer texture. Then a beautiful glass-like finish of hot, liquid Muscle Shoals asphalt. The newly paved streets opened up new developments in every direction. Far-seeing businessmen in every line heard the knock of opportunity and responded by establishing themselves in Florence, Sheffield, Tuscumbia, and Muscle Shoals in what they saw was soon to become a flourishing industrial district. This activity was accompanied by another equally important. The ring of carpenters' hammers heralded the arrival of new homeowners, just as intent as the businessmen in establishing themselves in a region of unlimited possibilities. Of all this progress, by far the most outstanding was the planning and construction of the Howell and Graves Junior High School. Here on the Wilson Dam Highway, in the midst of Muscle Shoals centers, Howell and Graves, successful developers, erected one of the most beautiful and best-equipped educational buildings of its kind in the South. With the cooperation of the Alabama State Department of Education, the Colbert County Board of Education, the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of Muscle Shoals, it was completed and formally dedicated by Howell and Graves, the city developers, on May 29, 1928. This construction activity forecasts what might be needed in the future expansion of the entire Muscle Shoals district. Many people with vision who realized that one could make money by taking advantage of an unusual opportunity bought property in Muscle Shoals centers to hold for the real civic expansion that they felt was soon to come when the eyes of the nation would again be turned toward Muscle Shoals, where nature had set the stage for a veritable industrial utopia. And the eyes of the nation did turn. President Roosevelt sent Congress a message soon after he had gone to the White House in 1933, asking legislation to expand the government's then idle Muscle Shoals project. Congress and the public received the proposal with enthusiastic acclaim. The Tennessee Valley Authority Act was passed and TVA was born. The major issues of TVA comprise the scientific control of river flow, the development of inland navigation, the elimination of destructive floods, the prevention of soil erosion, the generation and distribution of electric power, the development of cheap fertilizer and promotion of better farming methods, the conservation of our forests, and the development of our natural resources. Now was begun the sweeping program of regional economic and social planning involving the entire Tennessee watershed. With the Muscle Shoals plants and the Wilson Dam as its hub, the first new TVA project completed was Norris Dam on the Clinch River, a colossal gray barrier of concrete. At the eastern end of the tranquil steel blue waters of Lake Wilson at Muscle Shoals on the Tennessee rose the Wheeler Dam. At the dedication ceremony, Speaker Bankhead of the House of Representatives said, "I state without fear of being repudiated in the future that this area will be, within the next decades, the greatest beehive of industrial and social development anywhere in the nation." Active construction work was started on the Pickwick Dam, also on the Tennessee, in January 1935. It will be completed late in 1938. Guntersville Dam, the fourth on the Tennessee River, begun late in 1935, is expected to be finished in 1938. Chickamauga Dam, the fifth on the Tennessee River, begun in 1935, is scheduled for completion in 1939. Hiwassee Dam on the Hiwassee River, a tributary of the Tennessee, begun in 1936, will probably be completed in 1940. 3 other dams on the Tennessee River have been proposed. The Tennessee Valley Authority has stated that the value of the dams themselves will last through the centuries, and that the Tennessee, Ohio, and Mississippi River navigation systems will include over 5,000 miles of channel in a climate that doesn't require closing down for winter. This system, the authority continues, in the long run may be more important than the Great Lakes, just as Buffalo, Cleveland, Toledo, Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, and Duluth have grown up at lake ports. So may we expect the continued growth of cities on this great waterway. The Tennessee Valley Authority has reorganized the great number 2 nitrate plant at Muscle Shoals to manufacture high-grade fertilizer at low consumer cost. Nearly 8,000 southern farms are now using the new triple superphosphate fertilizer, produced in electric furnaces operated on power generated at Wilson Dam. The Tennessee Valley Authority predicts that this area is to witness an era of unprecedented industrial expansion. One of the country's largest electrometallurgical corporations has signed a 20-year contract with TVA for power at the plant they propose building at Muscle Shoals. Authorities predict this beginning definitely establishes Muscle Shoals as the electrochemical and electrometallurgical industry center of the United States. Many people in moderate circumstances have become independently wealthy by buying property close to industrial developments. For example, Chicago, Illinois, where huge profits were made by buying before mass operations and large plants brought vast increases in population. For there, lakefront properties could be bought for hundreds of times less than they are worth today. And here in New York, old John Jacob Astor, by purchasing land before big developments took place, laid the foundation of the great Astor fortune. Gary, Indiana, Cleveland, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and dozens of other industrial centers in the United States, not to forget the most outstanding of all, Detroit, Michigan. It was there that Henry Ford built his plants from this small shack into worldwide enterprises employing hundreds of thousands, sending real estate values skyrocketing far above their original purchase price. The same Henry Ford who said at Muscle Shoals that he'd give work to millions of men, a man for every horsepower. He said that before the government had completed the Wilson Dam.